Hi, everybody. It's weird I'm starting this because we never start. Tim starts never.
Wondering why all of a sudden.
This is a little bonus podcast.
Yeah.
Brett has been dying to talk about the new Halloween movie, and
It's
we couldn't wait a whole week to talk about it. Halloween ends.
Yeah.
So this is just going to be like kind of a recap of the whole series in general.
Yeah.
Our thoughts, and Brett has some crazy theories because this movie is, I wouldn't say panned, but definitely not as well respected as other Halloween films.
Yeah. I think you're safe to say it's been poorly received.
It's been poorly received.
Yeah.
So Brett is standing on a soapbox, and he's going to tell us why this movie is a masterpiece, why this trilogy, enough for us to do a bonus podcast.
Yeah.
So, also a video on YouTube. Please
Yeah.
check us out at the Keep Up on YouTube.
On YouTube, there
I was
it
gonna
is.
say podcast. but
Yeah. Nope.
We're not.
No.
So
on Instagram.
the floor is yours, Brett.
So I don't want to monopolize this, but
I'm here to converse with you because I'm on the side of I agree with the people.
Yeah.
Where I don't think it's as bad as the reviews are, but it definitely doesn't live up to again the standards that the first one set.
Sure,
in my opinion.
Yeah. So that's totally fair. There's a couple of almost philosophical reasons why I want to discuss this.
Yes.
For one. This is not one of the philosophical reasons, but just but just timing wise,
yes.
How can we not do an episode on
about Halloween before Halloween?
Yeah,
it's too good.
Maybe I'll put this out on Halloween.
Oh, that's smart.
You know what I mean?
Cheers to that.
I am nothing if not intelligent. That's a good cheers. I didn't get another.
Oh, you didn't get another
drink.
Soda.
That's all right. This isn't going to be as long as an episode. I don't think. I don't know.
We can
Strap
talk
in,
a lot.
folks. Yeah, I know. That's true. So yes, this movie has been so aggressively poorly received, and not by everybody. Scrolling through forums and threads and stuff like that, there are people who share the thought that this was a bold take on the franchise and a really good movie in general, things like that. But largely, the people who are mad about it are pissed.
Yes,
and I surprisingly. Maybe not surprisingly, I don't know. People seem to be surprised. When the movie ended in the theater, I was like, I really liked that. I really enjoyed that movie. And evil dies tonight!
Evil dies tonight!
When Tim and I saw Halloween Kills,
yes.
Now, anyone who doesn't know, there's a trilogy of Halloween films, starting with Halloween 2018, followed by Halloween Kills. Halloween Ends just came out.
Yep.
And this timeline takes place after the original Halloween movie.
Yes.
There are
there's
three different timelines?
Yeah, so there is the H20 timeline.
Yep.
The H40 timeline, which is what we're discussing today.
Yep.
Then there's the Rob Zombie remakes.
Yes.
And then there's one more timeline, which I don't remember. It has a weird name, some character that is in all of them, I guess.
Oh, okay.
It's H20, H40, the weird timeline, and then the Rob Zombie one.
And the weird timeline must include 1, 2, 4, and 5, and
I think
6.
it's 4, 5, and 6.
Okay.
Halloween 3 doesn't get put in
That's
anything.
its own thing.
Yeah, and 2, I believe, is part of the H20 timeline.
Oh, it is.
I think it's 2, H2O, and then Resurrection.
Because 2 takes place the same night as 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which
Okay.
is funny that they did that twice. And potentially in the Rob
right.
Zombie one. I haven't seen those, so...
I don't think I ever saw the second one.
The second?
I can't remember. No, I must have watched it.
I remember you watched them all back to back. You did a whole marathon.
I did. I got through everything except for Resurrection, which I think is the one with Busta Rhymes. That's how I remember it.
I think because I saw you. Did you send me a picture? You might have sent me a picture with the whole timeline. Or did you post it?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I think I sent it to you.
Let me see if I can pull it up just so we can be accurate.
And I did see this current trilogy referred to as the Haddonfield trilogy because it's all about the town.
It does take a major focus on the town more than anything.
Yeah.
I see Obama Prism.
Obama Prism. That's not Halloween related.
How long ago did you send it to me on Instagram?
Who knows?
Okay. It's not the biggest deal, but just because the timeline is so confusing. I can't think of something that has a more complicated timeline.
X-Men?
Oh, you're right.
Those are probably the two.
X-Men gets so nutty.
Yeah.
It goes all over. That's so funny. Halloween and X-Men.
But this one is basically like there are defined timelines. It's just crazy how you have to like, you can go from 1 to 2 to 4, 5, and 6, or you can go from 1 to this new trilogy. You can go from 1 to 2 to H2O.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's crazy.
So
So
H20, I've always called it H2O.
yeah, I think that's what everyone calls it.
Right?
But does it have to do with water at any
Not
point?
at all. It really doesn't.
If you name your movie H2O, you should have water.
There's got to be some water.
But maybe that's why it should be said as H20.
Right.
Halloween
That's what I
20.
mean. Yeah.
But yeah, so this trilogy is just like a weird thing to exist in general.
Yeah.
That they brought it back again.
And I guess like I'm not surprised he came back.
That's always his thing.
Now, 2018, Halloween, I think fans of the series just love that movie.
Yes.
It's great.
Yep.
We rewatched it. Really liked it. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think it does a perfect job of modernizing.
Modernizing. You're nailing it.
Okay.
You want to say it a couple more times?
Modernizing.
Yeah.
Modernizing.
Perfect.
It makes Michael Myers new.
Yeah, a new.
New.
Makes him new.
Makes him new.
Yeah, brings him back. The film is just well done. It's enjoyable.
Great
it's
time.
a great slasher film.
Yep.
Great Halloween film. Kills comes out, and we saw it in theaters.
Yes.
I was underwhelmed.
Yes.
There were some things I thought were really weird about it. Also, let me say this: full spoilers on this episode. I want to talk about these movies.
Yep.
Now, the weirdest thing, and we did talk about this on a past podcast, but having Michael Myers fight off an entire fire department felt weird. It made him look like a superhero or something like that. And then the evil dies tonight mob attacks.
Oh my God.
Seemed really obnoxious. And it just felt, the whole movie just felt kind of awkward. And I just left feeling like those were really strange decisions.
Because, it gets explored more in Halloween ends. But it's way more about the people than it is Michael Myers, and it's tough to transition from the first movie, where it's all focused on Michael Myers, him killing and stuff, where the second movie focuses on the town and the people, and the third one even expands more on that.
It does.
So I think that's where people fall off with the second and third one, is that we all don't realize that it's not a Michael Myers movie anymore.
Right.
The first one is, and then they're like, he still is there, but it's about the evil taking over the town.
Right.
And that is something that you don't realize. I didn't even realize until we started having this conversation.
Yeah.
Honestly. But
I think you're right.
And it is that shift that's hard, because you go and see, and granted, he still kills a ton of people.
Yeah.
And Halloween Kills. And it's when he's on screen, it's great.
Yeah.
Because he is just doing his thing.
Yep.
But because it focuses so much on the people and the mob and what he's doing to everybody in the town, it feels so jarring. Because you're just like, I just want to see Michael Myers kill.
Right.
And that is the thing. But then when you see him kill, like the firefighters, you're like, okay, what is he, friggin' a superhero? Like, what's going on
But
here?
then you get to like the car scene. There's a car scene in this movie that is very much like, okay, this is Michael Myers.
Yep.
Now, here's the thing. Here's where I shifted. The weekend before we went to see Halloween Ends, we watched the first one from 2018, and then I rewatched Halloween Kills.
Which I refuse, because
Tim refused to do it.
I just, blech.
Upon second viewing and watching it right after the first one, I actually really liked it.
Crazy.
I know.
That's a crazy thought.
I never expected that turn, because I'm not super hard on movies to begin with. So for me to have a negative take on one, it's like you're probably not going to shift it back. I watched it and I was like, I see what they're doing, and I kind of like this. So you're 100% correct that I think this whole trilogy does something different than people expected, maybe wanted, well, definitely wanted. And that's where I think the response to Ends starts to get a little bit shallow.
Yep.
Now, let me say this real quick before we get into Ends. At the time of recording this, we don't have a massive viewership on YouTube. If because of the timing of this video, we get a sizable amount of views and comments on this, I just want to ask that people be nice in the comments. Because one of the things that's driving me crazy about the response to this movie, and this is where it gets philosophical for me, is I think the responses to art in general are getting super toxic and ridiculous and over the top. So I'm seeing a lot of threads about Halloween Ends saying if you like it, you're not a real fan of this franchise. You are not a real fan. If you think this movie did anything good, you are wrong. I made a post, and he's a friend of mine, and I expected this comment, so it's not like a big deal. But I've seen legitimate sentiments from strangers to strangers like this, where I posted that I thought the movie was really bold and actually really good. And the response was, I love you, but you are wrong about this movie. And that drives me crazy. Again, not that comment in particular, but I'm seeing things saying that this is a bad movie, and I think that is wrong. We'll get more into that. But my whole point is, please share opinions. Please have conversations. And I can't control the internet, but that would be my request.
That separates us from like
the animals.
The animals. Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest difference when it comes to reviewing is you need to have an open mind.
Yeah.
You need to be able to see this from different angles, see what they were going for.
Right.
And that's what makes for an interesting review.
Yeah.
Not giving it a 2 out of 10. IGN, 2 out of 10. Worst movie ever. Like, the numbers, everyone looks at the numbers, and that's what determines their opinion on it. It's like, think about it. Let it stew. Let it sit. Because for me, I may not think it's like one of the best movies ever, but it's still like it's a solid 6 out of 10, which to me is a fine number.
This fly has been with us since we recorded the podcast.
And 6 out of 10 is not terrible.
Yeah,
because there were elements I like.
Yeah,
and you're allowed to change your opinion on things too.
100%.
Like if you hate something and then you watch it again, like you did, if you watch it again, you're like, oh, this is actually good. I get it now.
Yeah,
that happens a lot.
Right,
our opinions change, our thoughts change, things influence different things.
Totally.
So,
yeah,
I'm with you. You're allowed to think what you want.
Yeah,
you should be able to.
Right, and that's just what I want to do with the Keep Up. I want to make sure people feel safe to have conversations. That's the stuff that drives me crazy. Is it's not community. It's not people talking about art.
Yep.
It's people saying like, you are wrong. I am right.
Yep.
And this is where it gets. I think the general response to this movie, based on what I've read, is shallow. The negative reviews and stuff like that. I'm not saying if you didn't like this movie, you're being shallow, but I'm saying when someone says Michael Myers was barely in it, this movie is trash, that's a shallow response to what I think was actually a pretty heady movie. Like, I think this movie was trying to say a lot more than some people caught. No, I'm not saying like I'm this like guru who understood it and you didn't.
I'm enlightened, you fools.
But I also I think it's crazy to think that this director set out to make a trash movie. Like, obviously nobody sets out to make a trash movie.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. That's arguable. But I just think this trilogy was very different. And that's why I feel like it took me revisiting the movies back to back to be like, oh, I kind of get this.
But do you think it's fair to expect people to go watch all 3 back to back now to make it better?
No, not necessarily. But that is, it just affected it for me because the second one is so built on top of the first one. And I just didn't notice it because Kills came out, 2 years after the first one?
Yeah, well, because pandemic delayed it.
Yeah, so maybe it was 3.
Yeah, it was 2018 was the first one, 2021 the second one.
Oh, yeah.
So
I think that was a big part for me because watching that second one, I was like, man, this is so...
Because I think the intention was to have one come out each year. I think that's what happened.
I think so.
But 2019 wasn't really pandemic time. I mean, it was like near the end, but maybe it just got delayed for
I know
reason.
Kills and Ends were supposed to be like back to back.
Back to back.
Year after year.
Yeah.
I think. So, yeah. All that said, we can start getting into Ends, which I definitely understand some of the complaints here.
Yep.
Some of which we can talk about. So, how did you feel after you watching the movie, and how do you feel now? Has that changed at all? Because we got to talk about it a little bit, but
yes, it feels like it's definitely sat with me more. I initially, after finishing it, I did appreciate what was trying to be done.
Yeah.
I just feel like it wasn't executed in the way that, like, I wanted this to be, or how do I word it? The standards that the first one set, I wanted it to reach those highs of, like, just Michael Myers skulking around, killing people, and just being crazy. And they spend, again, a lot of time on the characters and the world and the town.
They do.
Like, it's not as much focus on Michael Myers in the other two. But I can see where they're going for.
Yeah.
It almost felt like they were trying to, like, pass the baton on, if you will. Like, but they ended up killing that idea anyways because of the death of what was his name? Corey.
Yeah.
And again, spoilers, but
yes, major spoilers.
They ended up killing him off, so it's like it didn't fulfill that, which I'm glad it didn't do, but it didn't fulfill that passing the torch, if you will, of trying to keep the legacy going.
It's still possible though. we don't see his body or anything at the end.
Oh my God, don't say that.
I'm just saying. Because I did see a lot of that, and I'm seeing a lot of that response. Like, that's what I wanted, was like a 2-hour brawl between Laurie and Michael. And I think it's equally, as much as I think it's like shallow to be like, oh, there wasn't enough Michael. I think it's shallow too to be like, oh, well, you just can't handle it because they did something different. Like, I understand people wanting a full showdown between Laurie and Michael this whole time. But I think what's killing me is people are saying it's a bad movie because it wasn't that. And I just disagree. And I don't know why I saw it the way I did.
You can't fault a movie for it not having something you expected.
Sure. Yeah.
That's 100%. That's not a fair judgment.
Right. Now, there are a couple things that people have... either in conversations I've had with people or just recurring themes on why people didn't like it that I wanted to bring up and see what your thoughts are on it. So one of the things is people are saying that now in this movie, especially, if anyone who's not going to watch it, I know not everyone who listens to us are horror fans, but to give you a little bit of a layout of the movie, it takes place 4 years. The bulk of it takes place 4 years after the second movie.
Yes.
The first and second one are the same night, and then we got a 4-year jump. One of the things I've heard is a complaint that Laurie's character is completely abandoned and changed. What do you think of that?
I feel like I'm being interviewed. You see it most strikingly when she's fighting Michael. Granted, right before that, you can see her old character show up when Corey shows up.
Right.
She's going to attempt to try to kill herself.
Yeah.
At least that's what the movie's portraying. And then, Corey pops in the door and she freaking shoots him a bunch. And that's classic Laurie.
Right.
And then when you see her fighting Michael, it feels like she's a little more frail. But again, because of that 4-year gap, I imagine she's not as well trained and, mentally not there. Like, there's plenty of reasons why she wouldn't be her crazy killer self.
Right.
Well,
so
not that she was a killer, but you know what I mean.
No, but it is valid to say that in the first two, she's this woman who's for 40 years prepared for the return of Michael and all this stuff. And then in this one, she's like trying to bake pies and have like a normal life. But I really don't think the character was abandoned at all. I feel like I know I'm just setting up these questions to give my responses.
No,
that's
what discussion is.
But I'm curious because I watched this and when I think back to it, where 4 years later, she's trying to have a family because she has her daughter now. So she's trying and she sucks at it. She's burning pies.
Her granddaughter.
What did I say?
Daughter.
Oh, yeah. I meant, that's important because her daughter is very dead.
Yes.
Yeah, she's trying to have this like life. And to me, the thing that she prepared for 40 years already happened. So she was preparing and waiting and he came back and now he's disappeared, which that's the biggest problem, I think, with this movie.
Why does he disappear?
Yeah, that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. But we'll get to that in a minute. 4 years later, and she's like trying. Because prior to that, her and her daughter were like estranged. Like her daughter wanted nothing to do with her. Now that they've gone through everything they've gone through in the first two movies, her and Alice and her granddaughter are like living together. And it's not weird to me that she's trying to have a normal life. And then what happens throughout the movie shows me like she never really changed. She's able to turn it on immediately and be like, all right, if I need to be this person again, I can be.
Yeah.
And it also drove me crazy when she's at odds with Allison because I'm like, Allison just saw how right she was for 40 years.
That's true. I thought about that too, where like Michael did come back and all that stuff. And she's like, no, you're crazy.
Now you're not going to believe her.
Yeah.
And like,
nuts.
Just moments like, and you needed that because she was like in love with Corey and stuff like that. But
which also that timeline, she fell in love with him in like, 12 hours?
That was pretty quick. I'll definitely give you that. But him being gone after the second one is really frustrating.
Right, because like, where does he go?
Right.
But I mean, we talked about it a little through text.
Yeah.
He gets the crap beat out of him from the town.
He does.
And so maybe he just needs to go and recover. He goes and he still kills the daughter.
He kills a daughter and he kills a ton of people in that circle.
Yeah, which one thing we haven't talked about yet, but in this movie it establishes that Michael needs kills to like fuel the evil in him.
Yeah, in the second movie they specifically say the more he kills, the stronger he gets.
Yeah.
So that's like that because that's the other thing is a lot of, and this will come up in something I want to talk about in a minute. A lot of the history, it's very ambiguous why Michael Myers can do what he does.
Yeah.
It's just he's the embodiment of evil. There's something in his eyes. Like There's no man left in there, this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think this trilogy establishes some things a little bit more solidly. And I mean, it is covered in other movies too in different ways, but like that statement in 2, I think is super important in 3 or in Kills, in Ends. So yeah, I don't know why especially because at the end of Kills, I don't remember what the original ending is, but the one with Laurie on the phone is problematic.
The original ending is he essentially just kills her, and it zooms in on her and fades to black.
Kills
the daughter.
Okay.
And then it's just like I'm pretty sure the final shot is just her like dead on the ground.
I think you're right.
And it's not clear necessarily if she's dead or not. It pretty much is, but you you're left kind of like, oh, wait, did that just happen?
Right.
Where you saw the extended cut or director's cut.
Yes.
And Laurie calls her daughter's
phone,
and Michael picks up.
Yep.
And is just breathing on the phone.
And she says, "I'm coming for you." The first ending works better for Ends. The extended cut doesn't really.
Right, because she doesn't hunt him down.
She's baking a pie. Yeah. The first one, it could be like that happened, and then
which I'm surprised they don't like touch upon that.
I know,
because why didn't she go and hunt him down?
I don't know.
Because that would be something she would do. That would be something her.
And I think that's what people really wanted from Ends, and I get that. Again, I don't disagree with that, because that does seem to be what the first 2 movies set up.
Yeah.
So right from the jump, this movie's like taking a big risk, because you have to know that after these 2 movies, it's like, especially if you shot that extended scene where it's like, I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, shoot.
So I wonder if something happened or it was always the intention.
I read an article with where a quote from the director was, "It was never intended to be a showdown between Laurie and Michael. That never even crossed our minds."
Huh.
Which I don't know how that could not even cross your mind. But,
right, seriously.
But so now we're in Ends, and it opens up with, the accident with Corey and the kid.
Yep.
Which that sounds like an old Western. And that sequence pretty universally is really loved.
Yeah,
like,
that might have been my favorite part of the movie.
It was out of control, man. That was so crazy. And then it's probably a good 30, 40 minutes before you even see Michael Myers.
Yeah.
And 30 minutes in, I was checking my watch, and I was like, I get why people are mad, because this is a story that not only is like Michael not in the movie at all, Laurie's barely in the movie. Its focus has completely shifted to Allison and this kid, Corey.
Yeah.
So I was getting nervous around then. And then the thing happens with Michael and Corey where there seems to be a showdown and like a transfer of evil of some sort.
Yeah.
And I've seen this scene referred to as like the romantic scene between Michael and Corey. What did you read about that scene? Like, how'd that feel to you?
I thought when I initially saw it happen, I thought Michael was giving Corey his like essence. Again, the passing a torch, passing of the torch. And they're like, here, take my evil, which made me a little nervous because I was like, oh, is that the end of Michael? Like, is he just taking it? Like, I thought Chucky a little bit where the original movie has, I forgot his name, Charles, whatever.
Yeah.
He puts his soul in a Chucky doll. That's what I thought was going on.
Du fromage.
Holy body do.
Yeah, it felt similar to that.
Yeah, but that's not what ended up happening.
Right. And I read it as like Michael saw something, and there was a lot of discussion of the like mentorship of Michael and Corey and how that's like not Michael Myers. And what I can't figure out is why anybody thinks Michael did anything intentionally. Yeah. Because I don't think that.
Do you think Michael is just a vessel for evil? Like, as far as like the body, whoever Michael was never anybody. Like, since he was a kid. I think
so. The way I think of him, especially in this trilogy, is the embodiment of evil, but also like with like the mind of a man who's completely broken. Mm-hmm. Like in the first, like if you're thinking of just these 4 movies, 1978 Halloween, and then these 3. Yeah, he's a man who was in an asylum, broke out. Mm-hmm. You know, he killed his sister when he was a kid. Not in that order. And so the whole first movie is this man who broke out of an asylum just killing a bunch of people. Yep. And then, 40 years later, he's back. He's still a man, again, who broke out of an asylum and killed a bunch of people. Yeah. So this is, so far, all we know. We don't know anything about him consciously making decisions.
What was his fixation on Laurie? Anything like...
I think she was just the final girl.
That's
Oh,
it.
was she at?
I can't remember why.
Oh shoot, this is like basic Halloween.
I know I feel stupid for asking the question, but like,
Was she babysitting at his house? At his old house?
Not when he. Oh, yeah, maybe that's why. Because he just goes back to the house.
Because the whole thing is like Michael's trying to get home.
Right. And then does he go after her because she looks like his sister?
I don't know if that's ever made clear.
Because it seems like he goes from, because in Halloween Kills, he's still going back to the house.
Right.
But is he looking for Laurie in that too?
So that's the thing. They kind of establish in Kills that, or no, in the first 2018, that he's not looking for Laurie. He's just trying to get home.
But then he hunts her down throughout the movie. Like he ends up at the house.
Is he hunting her though?
Well, yeah, because I mean, he gets, yeah. Because why does he end up at the house?
In the first one?
In the first one. Not the very first one, but the first of the new trilogy.
Yeah, 2018.
2018, yeah. He ends up at the house and starts killing, like...
that's his house, though, isn't it?
No, that's Laurie's, like, random wood, like, thing.
Oh, he ends up at her house.
Yeah. At her, like, survival hut. Because I know the doctor drives him there, and then he kills the doctor.
To Haddonfield.
But it seems like he's, like... Because remember, they're all like getting together. She calls her daughter, and they're like, Michael's hunting you down. So that gives me the indication that he's hunting her.
Interesting.
So maybe he wanted to kill her first, then go to the house. Because he does. Because that's the second movie. He's all about going to his house.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know. Good point. I'm just curious if he's hunting her, if it's not related, and they just keep crossing paths.
Yeah, because at the end of the first one, that's like the whole thing, right? They're like, the doctor brought him here. He wasn't hunting Laurie. Did they say that in the first one?
I don't know.
I know they show it, but I can't remember because I watched
like, we don't really know what he's doing.
We don't really know.
Because he's just walking around killing people.
Yeah.
But then when he sees... No, because he's just chasing her. I was going to say, when he sees the granddaughter... I wish we could remember their names.
That one's Allison.
Allison.
Yeah.
So when he sees Allison, he just like starts following her like any other kill. I don't think he makes the connection that it's the granddaughter.
I don't think so either. Yeah.
And then it's just, so that's an interesting perspective. Is it just all the people making Michael Myers meet up with Laurie? Because I don't think he's actively hunting her down.
Oh, interesting.
But all the people like...
He's just following whoever.
Yeah, like they're all kind of pushing him towards her. Because like the doctor's really the big part of it. But they're all like, he's coming for Laurie, but he might not be. He's just going on a rampage.
Right.
So maybe it's been there all along. You just have to look at it from a different perspective.
Yeah, maybe.
But again, I don't know his fixation on her. That's my problem.
Right, and that's a good point. Because in Ends, the reason I wasn't bothered by the whole like mentorship thing, is I didn't see it as Michael making any conscious decisions. I saw it as like whatever's going on in his brain and having evil, like embodying evil. He saw something in Corey, and it like. He just didn't kill him.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, I understand having the reaction of like, oh, Michael Myers wouldn't do that. He would kill everybody. But my response was like, ooh, why didn't he kill him? Like, this is the first time, if you look at only these 4 movies, this is the first time he doesn't kill someone.
Yeah, everybody he comes into contact with, he kills without even thinking about it.
So, and I think that's where I was like, oh, what is, this is interesting. Rather than like, I wasn't like pissed about it. I was like, what's going on here? Now, another flaw here is like the doctor in 2018. Because one of the theories is like, oh, Michael saw evil in Corey's past. But first of all, he didn't see evil. He saw a kill. Because I guess you don't know. That's ambiguous. But Corey is said to be like sort of this pure kid who just had an accident.
Yeah.
And whereas the doctor in the first one, he had killed someone. Oh, but he didn't die. You think that matters? My thought was like, he saw death. He saw murder in Corey's past, or so he thought.
So why didn't he kill the doctor?
But in 2018...
Or work with the doctor.
Yeah, well, why did he not kill him?
He does end up killing the doctor.
Right, and the doctor had killed the officer, but the officer didn't actually die.
Do you think it's that, like,
I don't know.
That fine?
That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
Because if I'm trying to... Now, this is in the territory of, like, you're trying to, like, defend it.
Yeah.
But technically, the cop didn't die.
Right.
And it's like, But
the other thing is Michael is passed out at that point.
When he dies? When? What are you talking about?
Well, because remember, he gets hit by the car and he's knocked out.
Yeah, but he wasn't there for when the kid died. He just saw that in Corey's.
True,
like,
but did he grab the doctor to do the supervision thing?
No.
I
think
know.
is that when it happens? Wait.
Me again?
Nope.
Okay.
It's all good.
Okay.
Thought there was a buzzy.
Yeah, because technically Michael never witnessed the doctor kill, so maybe because he didn't know. If that helps the logic, but
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I see it as he saw the evil in him. Like he saw that there's potential for evil, or there's some darkness inside him.
Yeah,
because the kill was accidental, but maybe that was like the triggering moment.
Right, and that's the thing is like, so this whole movie is all about the town turning on someone that was actually, you know, overall like a good person, like had this good heart and had this unfortunate accident that everyone turned in on and ultimately like quote unquote turned him into a monster kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I definitely understand people being upset that the focus wasn't on Michael, but to me, it all felt like it was. Like this evil that's in Michael Myers continues to infect and spread and change shape.
Yeah.
And, you know, another criticism I heard is like, why do we even care about Allison and Corey? Like what? Because she's Laurie's granddaughter. And I think like, absolutely that's why we care.
Yeah.
Because Laurie thinks she's escaped it. She's trying to move on. And all of a sudden this whatever spirit of Michael Myers and the evil that inhabited him is now in her life in a different form. And that to me was like, oh my gosh, she can't escape it.
Yeah.
Like,
no matter where she goes.
it just felt like this extension of the character.
Right.
So that didn't bother me. I was, you know.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is she's like kind of a main character in the other two movies. So I would like to have this because what I do like about the Halloween Kills is that it does give us time with these characters, not in terrifying situations.
Right.
You know, because Laurie, it's all building up to Michael escaping in 2018.
Right.
But in this one, it's like peaceful. And you see Laurie trying to form relationships and living a normal life. And
it ends, you're saying?
It ends,
okay.
yeah. 2018, like, again, you see him kind of in normal, you see the whole family in normal situations, but it's always about fear and stuff.
Yeah.
Where this one's like, it's nice to see kind of get like resolution.
Right.
And granted, it's not the end of the story, but it is nice to see these characters grow and move on and change.
Right.
So all that being said, Allison, I think it's very important to see her story and where she's going because she is... very much connected to the story like everyone else.
Right. Yeah, that's how I felt too. I still plenty of Michael Myers-esque kills. I thought some of them were even nods to kills from the first two movies, showing even more that like Corey is just this like continuation or like the same sort of. That's
where I fall off a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a little, what's the word? I don't know, a little... It's just weird that it's not Michael Myers doing it.
Yeah.
Corey gets the bulk of the kills in the movie.
That's true.
I think Michael kills 3?
Maybe.
Maybe. But either way, it's so it feels a little weird because again, it's that passing of the torch where it feels like, okay, now there's a new generation of Michael Myers out there. And again, they snuff out that torch by the end of the movie, but it just feels weird that it's not Michael Myers doing it.
Yeah.
It's still, the kills are still very Michael Myers-esque. But I think that viewpoint is shattered when you think of the evil not being just Michael Myers. The evil just goes from person to person and it's just there to kill.
Yeah. And I do get like, this is supposed to be the end of the trilogy. Like Jamie Lee Curtis has said she's not doing any more after this. So to have someone else sort of take the mantle of like the main slasher of the franchise, I definitely understand people having a problem with that. But I still think like I still think it did a lot of the things you would want in a Halloween movie, plus more. That's why I think it was bold, because like they must have known like having someone else be the killer for a bulk of it was like a bold move. You have to know that.
Right. You have to know that'll get some fans angry.
Yeah. I still felt like a really good story was told. One thing that's funny that I saw online is people making fun of, so Corey was bullied by band geeks.
Yeah. Which was kind of a funny idea.
That is a funny idea, but doesn't it seem like an odd criticism in a time when we're trying to like move past stereotypes and like problematic perspectives.
Yeah.
Doesn't it seem funny to be like, oh, this nerd got beat up by band geeks?
But you're right.
Sorry, how does that sound to every band kid?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I've read a couple of things that are like, oh, he beat up Michael Myers, but he got beat up by some band nerds, and I'm like, I don't think you get to stand on that as a valid viewpoint anymore.
No.
It's little things that I'm like, I feel like certain criticisms are being allowed just because people are so upset, and it's like that's not a valid point as to why this movie isn't good.
Right, that doesn't have anything. It's funny because it goes.
What happened?
I just heard a weird noise. It goes against the conventions because it's not a jock. It's it's a band geek. It's someone who plays instruments. But those people are just as evil as can be just as evil as anybody else.
Exactly.
But it is. Yeah, it's just funny because that crossed my mind initially. I was like, it's just different.
Yeah,
they are band geeks.
I definitely thought it was funny and an interesting take. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
That is not valid for saying this movie sucks because he got beat up by band geeks.
Yeah. And I also don't think like the scene where he took Michael's mask, I don't think it was really a fight. Like I didn't see that as like, oh, he beat up Michael Myers. Whatever is in Michael that kept him from killing him is like consistent there. He's like, we don't kill this person. And I don't know why that is, but exactly at least.
But then why does he kill him later?
100%.
That is
valid question. I don't know. The only thing I can think of, and this is where again some of the criticisms are not invalid. There could be the strength thing, like now he's stronger or something like that. Like he needed. I don't know.
Maybe he sent Corey to kill all those people, and then he got strong enough.
I don't know.
But I mean, that doesn't really lend well to the final fight.
No,
between Michael Myers and Laurie, because
which was a cool fight.
It is a cool fight. I think the only way she could have beat him is if he was weaker. Because he was like stupidly strong.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Or this is all just a lasting effect from when he got beat up by everyone, and he actually does receive damage. You know? So I mean, there's different theories for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know why he ultimately killed him. Because he took his mask. Maybe it could have just been that was more Michael than it was the evil.
Oh, interesting.
And he was like, I need my mask. So he just,
right. Because is that their last interaction before he gets killed? As he steals his mask?
Yeah. He steals his mask, and yeah, that's it.
Then he goes on his little killing spree.
Yeah. So that could be Michael coming out.
Interesting.
If we assume there's two people in the body of Michael Myers.
Right.
Or two things.
Yeah.
Entities.
Two things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Dude, I don't know.
Dude. But you loved it.
I really liked it. I did really like it. And I'm wondering if I'm going to watch it again at some point and be like, it has problems.
Yeah, like there are things you may have noticed or may have not noticed, and upon a second viewing, you'll feel better or worse about it.
But I've also seen some people joking about like, I can't wait till 10 years from now when this becomes like Halloween 3 and people regard it as like a masterpiece trilogy. Because I think there's a lot done with this that makes it feel. So I was thinking back to the things that felt odd. Michael fighting a bunch of firefighters and like all this stuff. And I'm like, technically, these are just situations we've never seen him in. Right. So that's why it feels weird.
And that's like, I think what's cool about the firefighter scene is it's realistic. You know, a lot of the times, like there'll be this crazy murderer going around and you don't see cops till the very end of the movie. Here, you start with like firefighters who are responding to an event. Like it's realistic.
Yeah.
Granted, what happens may not be as realistic.
I was going to say, I mean, it's realistic to a degree.
Right. But like just the idea of like, and the whole town, like again, that's something we haven't seen the whole town go against them.
Right.
And that these are cool concepts, maybe not executed in the best way.
Evil dies
tonight. But I will say, ultimately, I do like the trilogy.
Yeah.
Like I think together as like one complete picture, it's cool. It's a cool take on Michael Myers. They've delved more into what darkness drives him and more of the town, and it's just cool perspectives.
Right.
I still don't find the movies particularly strong because of the flaws I've seen. I've seen from the final two.
Sure.
And I mean, granted, I said earlier you shouldn't judge a movie on its lack of content, but I do still feel a little bit where I'm like, I just wish it was Michael killing people for 2 hours.
Sure.
I want more of what the first one established.
Yeah, and again, I can't fault anyone for wanting that. I definitely understand wanting, like, this is going to be the final one. Like, I want this to be the best, like, Michael Myers romp I've ever seen. But realistically, I don't know if romp is the right word. Realistically, I think 2018 is probably the best of that.
Yes.
Because that feels the most like him prowling, going through the town.
And that's the thing. If we got that 3 times over, it'd probably be been there, done that.
Maybe, but I think they could have done that and people would have been happy with it.
Yeah. I mean, that's why there were 12, Halloween movies before.
Right.
Because it is essentially the same thing again and again. So.
And I think that's what I was just looking at. I was really trying to see, like, okay, what's the vision behind this like trilogy? And I think if you look at 2018, kills and ends, it's actually a pretty cool story told. I think if this movie wasn't a Halloween movie, people wouldn't be upset about it. I think it'd be like an interesting...
just like a cool...
Yeah, like just a movie about a killer who hiding in a sewer who like somehow partners supernaturally with like this kid who like I don't think the story is bad.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing.
That's the thing. Like the lack of Michael Myers doesn't make the quality of the movie bad.
Right.
Because it is a well-made movie.
I really think so. Like, because I am seeing a lot of arguments that, like, if you think this movie is good, like, you are wrong. You're just defending it. And I'm like, no. Also, some of the concepts that are being overlooked, first of all, the performances in this movie, the kid who plays Corey, I forget his name. It's like, I think it's Rowan...
Atkinson.
No. It's Rowan something. I forget. But he was really, really good in it.
Yes.
And... the other thing is, like, the whole thing with the kid dying in the beginning. One of my favorite scenes in the whole movie...
Rowan Campbell.
One of my favorite scenes in the whole movie is Laurie in the bar with the kid's dad. When he says, I saw the way the town was treating him, and I know that he was a good kid. I know he'd never do anything to hurt anybody. And how different he and his wife handled their son's death. When he said, I felt like they took my pain and made it about them, I was like, damn, that's a good line. Because that's a thing people do.
Yeah.
Like, that is like, that people respond to these events and like, they turn against people without even like knowing them or knowing the story. So I think there were some like important things written into this that is just getting thrown out with the baby. Yeah. What's that phrase?
Thrown out with the baby?
Yeah, you throw the baby out in the water.
What?
Throw the baby out with the bathwater. You never heard that?
No.
Really?
That's messed up.
Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
Yeah, like throw out the stuff that means don't throw out the good stuff with the bad stuff. The baby's the good stuff.
Okay.
Don't throw the baby out. You've never heard that?
Not once in my life.
Interesting. That's very strange. Well, anyways.
Brett's throwing babies out.
Dude, nobody's throwing babies. I thought the procession at the end of the movie was a little funny. Everybody marching to the death.
I get it, how important his death was. Also, to backtrack a little bit, how did you feel about ultimately how he died? Michael Myers.
Oh, Michael in the kitchen or in the grinder?
In the kitchen.
I actually really liked it.
You thought it was...
I was a little like, how are they going to do this? I was waiting for her to chop off his head or something because that's like the most final thing, but very dramatic for her to like bleed him out.
Yes.
So I actually liked that.
Right, because it's that's always a big question. How do you kill Michael Myers?
Yeah.
Because you've seen him get shot, you get stabbed, get hit in the head. Like, he has been berated.
Yeah.
But just for her to like slit his wrists and cut his throat too.
Yeah, while he's trapped.
Yeah. It's cathartic for her. And it's just an interesting way because, like, why didn't he bleed out all the other times? Like, when the town beats him up, that's got to be so many open wounds.
Yeah, that's true.
I need to see it again to see, like, specifically. Maybe it's not as, like... Because it's a lot of blunt force, but he gets shot, and I think he does bleed a lot when he gets shot.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of the ambiguity comes into like the evil and the power and stuff like that because like Corey's hand heals after his interaction with Michael.
Does it?
Yeah. So he cuts his hand. And then
I thought it was weird that he took off the tape.
That's what they're showing is like his hand.
Healing.
So he had the interaction with Michael.
Yeah.
He kills the homeless guy. And shortly after that, he takes the bandage off his hand and he like heals up.
I didn't make that connection.
So it's like, okay, well that heals.
So he has like
him
a
up.
healing factor.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, that's That, and again, that's one of the things that's like sort of ambiguously referenced. Like he gets up every time you shoot him. Like Michael Myers can't be beaten. He never stops coming after you.
Yep.
They never show him healing.
Right.
But technically the assumption is
he's got to be.
Right? So that's one thing that was made a little bit more definite is like, okay. And it also sort of implies that some sort of power was transferred to Corey.
That he was,
you know what I mean?
that he was weaker.
Yeah.
So he was able to be bled out.
Yeah. So I definitely understand there's a couple of like maybe holes or maybe I just don't have all the information and I wish it was a little clearer because if there is a healing factor, but I mean, he wasn't bled out. He just cut his hand. So maybe that's why they grind him up at the end.
Right. You got to make sure he's dead.
Yeah.
Which I thought the grinder was good.
That was good.
that was if you're going to kill him in any way, get rid of the body.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yep.
Which is funny because throughout the whole movie, they kept showing the grinder. And I don't know if you noticed, but they just like kept doing
I didn't think about that. Yeah.
I was like, oh, there's going to be a fight there.
Someone's getting ground up.
Yeah, I knew something was coming. But it's funny they like foreshadowed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why I don't know words.
You do.
Sometimes.
You did great.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's a fine movie.
Yeah.
I thought the whole trilogy as a whole is like good. Nothing amazing. The first movie I really like.
Yeah.
That's like a solid 8 out of 10.
Nice.
But then the second one I don't like. I'm not the biggest fan. Third, I'm a little higher than average feeling.
It's so like the responses are so all over the place because I read a lot of stuff about how much people were like, I loved one in the first one and Kills. Can't believe how bad this one was. And I'm like, you loved Kills?
Yeah.
Like that was not my response to it at all. And then I did see a lot of people saying like they should have stopped with 2018 and all that stuff. And I for some reason, the visceral response to this one, I was like, what is going on?
Especially
like,
after seeing it yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's that stupid mob mentality that the second movie has, where if one person gets this idea that it's bad, everyone thinks it's bad.
Yep.
And it's just, and granted, I mean, more often than not, they're probably right.
A lot of times, yeah.
They do end up. But here's the thing: we always have some kind of silver lining with it.
That's true.
There's always something we enjoy, even in the worst things. Like Morbius, we still haven't talked about it, but there are actually some things I liked in that movie.
Yeah, I gotta watch that. Maybe I'll watch that tonight.
But it's just like there are things to like in these movies. You just have to have an open mind, and there are things to like in all movies for the most part, unless they suck, like Mortal Kombat.
I knew you were gonna say Annihilation. Let's be clear.
Annihilation.
Let's be clear.
Can't go too off the rails.
Let's be clear. So I really liked it. If you haven't watched it yet, a big thing for me was all the reviews were negative. So going in, I was like, ugh, but I ended up really enjoying it. Definitely, a couple holes, a couple things to discuss. But thought it would be fun to talk about it. And now we've talked about it. I can't think of
any other points you had?
I think that's it. I think I had the opportunity to get it all out.
Yeah, I think nothing else I had to say on it. I don't think. I wasn't as passionate as you about it.
I know. I was like, I think I surprised myself by liking it, and I was like, "Whoa!"
Because you went in expecting to not like it.
Yeah, and like even in the first 30 minutes, like I said, I was like, "I'm nervous."
It does take a while for it to really.
It does, and then I just started looking at it as this whole, like the trilogy being like this one story, which obviously, but I don't know. It just gave me like a different perspective on it.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of cool commentary there, and I think it's pretty good. Whatever, I don't know.
We probably have one of the most in-depth podcasts about Halloween that anybody's going to talk about.
It's possible. Let us know what you guys thought. Like I said, be nice or don't. It's up to you. I can't tell you how to act, but
please just share your opinion.
Yeah,
and we'll let you know if we like it or not.
Yeah, we'll let you know. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. You can find us on Instagram at the Keep Up Podcast. You can find us on YouTube and TikTok at the Keep Up. Look for the colorful running man. And I guess that's it. We'll just end it. And
happy Halloween.
A little special. Yeah, happy Halloween. I hope it's a good one.
I hope it's one.
Wait.
What? No. I didn't even do anything.
I know it's not you. It's the cable.
It's not you. It's me. And watch out for any deranged killers.
Yes. Keep your eyes open for that. Because that is spooky.
That is extra spooky.
And you don't want to get dead.
No.
Enjoy your candy. Don't get dead. Have a good Halloween.
Bye-bye, my children.